So after months and months and months and months of delays, we're finally getting Wonder Woman 1984, not only in cinemas, but on HBO Max as well. So take that, Christopher Nolan. Maybe you shouldn't have released Tenet during the height of the pandemic, you dumbass. So anyway, let's talk about Wonder Woman.
Everything will be different.
So the DC Extended Universe movies have been pretty hit or miss for me. Some are great, some are fun, and some are Justice League 2017. I'd say the first Wonder Woman is definitely up there as one of the best DCU movies. It is flawed, but it's got great characters, action, and it just feels genuine and optimistic. Patty Jenkins did a great job directing, and needless to say, I was very excited to see what she'd do with the sequel. To be honest, the trailers weren't getting me that excited. It just looks kind of bland and standard. But I remained optimistic. So did Wonder Woman 1984 live up to the first film? Yeah, I'd say so. So, hot take, I guess. I actually really enjoyed this movie. Like, a lot. In fact, in a lot of ways, I'd say it's better than the first film. And I am pretty surprised how mixed the reviews are. The movie did have its problems, don't get me wrong, but overall, I had a great time with this. Also, I won't talk about anything major, but in this review, I will tread on some mild spoilers, so be warned. Alright, let's talk about the cast. I've seen a lot of people saying that Gal Gadot is bad in this, and yeah, she has been bad in some of these movies.
Why? Because of your guilt?
But I actually thought she was really good in this, and she had great chemistry with Chris Pine. Speaking of, even though he's not in the movie for as much as I thought he would be, Chris Pine is once again great, and it felt like his character actually gets a proper send-off in this. As for the villains, Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord is no doubt the main antagonist, and he's amazing. He gives a really hammy, scenery-cheering performance. He also manages to pull off some of the more serious moments, so his character isn't without some depth. Kristen Wiig as Cheetah is pretty good. I've seen some people compare her to Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and no, she's not nearly as bad. She feels way more like a real person who's just very socially awkward, rather than an offensively bad depiction of someone with a mental illness. Her motivation is a bit unclear, but at least it's not that she hates Wonder Woman for forgetting her birthday or whatever was going on there. Like really, it's not that bad. This movie is also really cheesy and stupid, which is something I actually liked about it. It's definitely a throwback to the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, down to the film style, and its unapologetically stupid plot. There's also plenty of fun action with some really cheesy looking effects. And of course, everyone's complaining about these things. And I think that's because we're so used to seeing superhero movies that are at least somewhat grounded in reality. Especially with the visual effects, which are meant to look as realistic as possible. You know, like most of the MCU movies. Those movies are never as over the top as this. I imagine if Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out today, it would be met with similar criticisms. There's also the controversy of Steve Trevor being in another man's body and how the man he's possessing doesn't consent to anything going on around him. First of all, I don't think it's even implied they did anything. They just slept together in the same bed, because the apartment they were in only had one bed, and Diana woke up wearing her clothes as well. But if you want to get really nitpicky about it and say, well, they're putting his life in danger, just shut up. He's in another man's body, just so they can have that cool reveal shot, and that's a good enough reason as any. Like, sometimes when a movie isn't meant to be taken seriously, it means you're not meant to think about the moral implications of every little plot point. Crazy, I know, right? This movie was fun, let me have this. You're all just mean. Anyway, even though I did just excessively defend this movie, I do have some problems with it. The film is way too long. Like, it really did not need to be 2.5 hours. Some scenes just go on longer than they need to, and I feel like you could trim down about 20 minutes off this movie, and it wouldn't have made much of a difference. And because this film is so cheesy, a consequence of that is that I found it hard to get invested in the more serious or emotional moments. Like, there's one scene that was meant to be very emotionally powerful, and was working really well for me, and then they start playing the music from Sunshine. And I'm like, really? It's basically stock music at this point. That said, there was one emotional scene with Pedro Pascal near the end of the film that I did really like. Mostly because of Pedro Pascal's performance, which really elevated it. The movie also addresses some political stuff, like in Egypt, that kind of felt out of place. And I've seen a lot of people say it's problematic. And I'm just some white kid, I don't know much about the political history of Egypt, so I don't feel like I can comment on that. I think Patty Jenkins just wanted an Indiana Jones-esque action scene in Egypt, so the film needed an excuse to have the characters there. Also, although I enjoyed most of the action scenes, the final fight between Wonder Woman and Cheetah wasn't great. It should be the best action scene in the film, but it's all in the dark for some reason, and I'm not a huge fan of the Cheetah design either. That said, overall, I still had a lot of fun with Wonder Woman 1984. I think it's good to have a superhero movie once in a while that isn't dark and depressing or intertwined in a cinematic universe, and it's just a nice movie that kids can enjoy. Is that too much to ask for? I guess so. I'm giving Wonder Woman 1984 an 8.5 out of 10. Leave your dislikes below. Also, here's where it would rank with all the other DCU movies. Anyway, that's what I thought about Wonder Woman 1984. Thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter at CinemaGeekYT, where I don't post anything. Leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one.